के लिए बात करती हैं तो उनकी माओं ने किया था और हमारी माओं ने भी यही किया था. This is part of our rich tradition of women in politics, women in the struggle for their rights in Pakistan. And why not? One woman decides the fate of a whole family, decides the fate of what future generations will think. How I educate my child will decide how my child will act in society and how they will educate their children. So educating one girl means educating a whole family and thereon a whole generation, which is why education is extremely important for women wherever they may be. दूसरी चीज़ ये, हम ख़वातीन के हकूक़ की बात करते हैं, कई दफ़ा बहुत वेस्टर्न इन्फ्लुएंसेस भी आ जाते हैं. अगर हम हकूक़ की बात करते हैं, सबसे बड़ा हकूक़ ये है कि मैं अपना फ़ैसला खुद करूं. मैंने क्या करना है, किस तरीके से करना है, कवानीन के दायरे में रहते हुए, आइन के दायरे में रहते हुए. That is why today, International Women Day, we must talk about women everywhere. We must talk about the biases, the Islamophobia that exists, especially in the Western world. Today in the papers I read, Switzerland has put a ban on the burqa, the veil. Why? Why can a nun in a habit walk in public places, enter public offices in European countries, but in many European countries, a woman wearing the veil cannot enter public offices. She cannot wear a symbol of her religion as it's assumed. These are the biases that we fight about. हम कहते हैं पाकिस्तान में हमारे बहुत से मसले मसाइल हैं, ख़वातीन पे जुल्म होता है, तशद्दुद होता है, और हम लड़ रहे हैं उसके लिए. We want to end that violence against women. We want to end the discrimination against women, because not that it's a favor that any government will do. These are our rights in our constitution. These are our rights that the government has as a responsible government to give us. They're not doing a favor. They have to give it because it is their obligation and it is our right to get those rights enshrined in the constitution. But let us also be aware that biases against women exist on many fronts, and a lot of them are embedded in the new rising form of Islamophobia, unfortunately. And we're seeing that in the Western world, which preaches to us about rights. Yes, we know about rights, but please do introspection also. Why are Muslim women being denied their rights? Which brings me to another issue. Why is no one in the West talking about the abuse of the Kashmiri women by Indian security forces? 1991, the mass rape of Kashmiri women took place in Kunan and Poshpora. The case is registered in the Indian courts. Nothing has happened. Many reports are, and Rula, you know, we've discussed this many times. Many EU reports are published on rights of women and so on. Why has India never been chastised about the rape, mass rape of Kashmiri women as a weapon of war? Why has India been allowed to brazenly violate all international conventions it has signed, including the 4th Geneva Convention, which prevents a person belonging to an occupied territory to be removed to a prison in the occupation country? And yet, we have Asia Andrabi, who is suffering in Tira jail in New Delhi, with her, a number of other women. Why has there been no word about it? All human rights reports that come out of the West ignore what is being done to the Kashmiri women. And I think on International Women's Day, because this is not just related to Pakistan, I would be amiss if I did not raise my voice against the total acceptance of the terrorism that is being done by the state, the government of India, against the Kashmiris. And on this day especially, I want to mention the plight of the Kashmiri woman who has been thrown into jail illegally in Delhi, the Kashmiri women who have suffered blindness because of pellet guns. By the way, a weapon that has been banned. It's an inhumane weapon. There's an Inhumane Weapons Convention, that's a short word for it, and India and Pakistan are both signatories to it. But nobody says anything to India. So when we talk about women's rights, then we must talk about the rights and the protection of women across the world.
YouTube पर Googly TV देखने के लिए youtube.com की सर्च बार में Googly TV टाइप करें। Googly TV के पेज पर सुर्ख रंग के सब्सक्रिप्शन वाले बटन पर क्लिक करना ना भूलिए। YouTube पर अपलोड होने वाली वीडियो से बाखबर रहने के लिए बेल आइकॉन पर क्लिक कीजिए। आपको हर नई आने वाली वीडियो के बारे में नोटिफिकेशन मौसूल हो जाएगा।